Welcome back to the Local Wealth Professionals YouTube channel. Today we're going to talk to you about target date funds, sometimes called life cycle funds or age-based funds or dynamic risk funds. These are very, very common investments in many people's portfolios, especially if you're in a group plan operated by an insurance company for the company you work for, or maybe a company you did work for. So if you own these things, it's very important you understand how they work. So they're a form of mutual fund that transitions its mandate over time. The older you get, the lower your portfolio risk, at least in theory. Let's see how that really works. Well, typically there's a series of pie chart-based segregated funds which at the start hold a high quality, high equity exposure for growth, and then as you age, the equity is gradually replaced by fixed income for income generation. Sounds like a very convenient all-in-one solution. And no doubt that's how it was sold to you. But this could become a terrible retirement nightmare. Why? Well, combine current interest rates with a combination of high product fees, and let's see what you get. Well, during your working years, you start with a pie chart of mutual funds or segregated funds that contains a greater amount of equity, like in this case 70% equity, versus 30% fixed income. And then as you enter retirement, that sort of reverses. So you might end up with 80% fixed income and 20% equity, which in theory is supposed to lower your risk and give you stable returns. But fees are a problem. The fees usually remain unchanged through the life of the program, which means that at 1.65 to 2.25% a year for mutual funds, that was a reasonably substantial fee, and it was mostly equity. But for the segregated funds, that was more like 2.25 to 3.25% because there's that insurance component. And now in retirement, when you're paying that for fixed income, that's an enormous fee. So how does that work? Well, look at interest rates. Interest rates in the 70s and 80s were rising, going from 4% to 16% for long-term bonds. And then in 1982, they started to reverse downwards, and they've been falling and falling, and now they're very low in the 2 to 3% range. And based on what we just pointed out to you, that means that the yields that you receive on your fixed income are less than the fees that are being charged on a target date portfolio. And obviously, that's going to consume your capital, which will deprive you of the income you need to live on. So let's take a real-life example. Let's do some math. Take a 70-year-old client, $500,000 portfolio, and the fund has gone to 80% fixed income, 20% equity in retirement. That means 20% of the $500,000 is $100,000 times 6%, $6,000, and 80% of the fixed income component, $400,000. At 2.5% gives $10,000 of income. Total income for the year is $16,000, and the fees were $87.50. That means you're left with a net income of $72.50, less than the annual fees like we projected. Oh my gosh. How's that going to work out? Well, it's not going to work out well at all because the fees are higher than the income generated, and making those income assumptions back when you bought those funds was risky, and it turns out probably irresponsible, because rising interest rates will result in capital losses on the income component of the portfolio, and that's what we're looking down the barrel of. This is a disaster. The math just doesn't work. Now, do you understand why? If you don't, you probably need to find out. And one way you can do that is to go and take the CIC course, take lesson 1 on fixed income, and learn how bonds work. You can find that at www.localwealthprofessionals.com. And what should you do next? Well, you better find a new advisor, because the advisor who sold you those funds that are going to use up all your money in retirement, that's just not such a great idea. So if to do that, you can click on this link, talk to a local wealth professional today, or if you can't do that, go to www.localwealthprofessionals.com, study the CIC course, then click on the link on the website to talk to a new advisor.